So you'll recall some time ago I made a video on how to integrate flocks. I'll put a link to that video in the comment section down below. But basically what I did was to have a large enclosure with a partition down the middle, and each flock had its own part of that enclosure. They had their own coop, and I kept them together for about a week either side of the partition so they could see each other but they couldn't get at each other. And then at the end of that week I removed the partition, and they immediately integrated with no issues at all. But what do you do if you don't have the ability to do that? What do you do if you've only got the one small enclosure and particularly only one coop, and you're introducing new birds to a flock? Well, that's what we're going to go and look at in this video today. So before we look at actually how I would suggest you do it, there are a couple of things that you need to think about. Firstly, numbers. When you're integrating two flocks, no matter which method you're using, you really want to look at having roughly equal numbers. Not exactly, but roughly. So, for instance, if you have an established flock of, say, 20 birds, and you introduce two new ones to them, no matter what method you're going to use, the chances are that those two are going to have a pretty hard time finding their place in the flock. Bullying will be pretty rife because you'll have 20 established birds up against the two new ones. So they're going to be they're going to have hard work doing that. So have a think about approximate numbers. If you can, try and have equal numbers of new birds to established birds. So that's the first thing. And secondly, quarantine. When you're unless you've hatched them yourself, but if you're buying new birds in, you probably want to put them through some kind of quarantine process before you put them in with the new birds, in case they've got something nasty. The birds that I'm going to integrate today, I'll show you them in it. They've been in quarantine in a stable for about 18 days now, and I know for a fact that they haven't got anything wrong with them. So let's integrate them now, and I will show you the two flocks that we're going to integrate together. So this is my established flock of Ixworths. There are 3 hens. There's another one in the end there just by the coop, and this very handsome cockerel. And this is my established Ixworth breeding flock, but I wanted to get some more, so I bought another 3 Ixworth hens, and I want to integrate them together into this area here. They've got a coop, they've got this wider area. The sheep are very interested in it at the moment. They've got this wider area where they can roam during the day. I've done other videos on this run. So this is the area that they're going to go into. There she is, there's the last one. And what I'm going to integrate, or what I'm going to use to integrate the flock, is this coop. Ideally, if you're going to use this method, you should put them into the coop at night when everybody is roosting, but I simply don't have the time to do that at the moment. I've got to get the new Ixworths out of the stable. So what I've done is I've shut off the coop from the outside. The old girls and the cockerel can't get in. So here's the coop. I've actually done a separate video on this. And the idea is that the new birds will go into here for a couple of hours. I'll shut that off. I've got to be careful actually in terms of timing, because the nest boxes are in here, and the old girls at some stage are going to want to come in and lay their eggs. But that's the idea. So this is where they're going to go. And then hopefully integration shouldn't be too painful. As you can see, there's a young sheep there. He's fascinated by the chickens at the moment. In terms of age, these are about 6 months old. They've been laying now for, about 7 months old. They've been laying now for about 6 weeks. So I will now introduce you to the new girls. So these are the newbies. 3 girls. They are the same age as the flock that they're going into, about 7 months old, and again these have been laying for about 6 weeks. And this is going to form, these 3 girls are going to go with the new 3 old hens and the cockerel, and they're going to form my new Ixworth breeding flock. So the coop's ready. The plan is to pick these up, put them in the coop for a couple of hours, then just open the coop and let them get on with it. I'm going to keep a very close eye on them. but I'll come back to you once they are in the coop. It's just a matter of trying to catch these now. Well, the new girls are in the coop. I'm going to keep them in there for about an hour or two. They've had food, they've had water, so that'll be fine. The others are already very interested in what's going on. They've actually been only about 20 yards apart for the last 3 weeks, so they've been able to hear each other. So it's not going to be too much of a shock, but I'll show you them now. If we can. Very carefully. There they go, they're already perching. I'm going to keep them there just for about another hour. As I said, I'm going to keep them there probably for about another hour, just so that they can continue to talk to each other, make noises, just get familiar with each other. Then I'll open the coop and hopefully they'll be fine. I'll do a video when I open the door in a couple of hours. I'll see you then. So it's now 2 hours later. I have opened the coop. The cockerel went straight in and kind of introduced himself, and about 10 minutes later the newbies came out and started mixing with the established flock. So here they are at the moment. There's the cockerel with his girls. Here's the new ones. Very few issues. A couple of the older girls, the established flock, have gone on to introduce themselves. Here goes the cockerel now. Let's just see what he does. Cockerel's in amongst them now. That's one of the old girls. I think she's just checking out the newbies. But yeah, I don't think we'll have any issues at all here. So just to summarise then what we've spoken about in the video, the issues really are numbers. If you can have equal numbers, roughly equal numbers, in each of your flocks that you're trying to integrate, that's a big head start. Quarantine, that's just common sense really. If you are introducing new birds to your flock, then they should be quarantined first. Make sure they don't have anything nasty. Size is another issue which we didn't speak about. It's best if they're both about the same size at the same age. They're just getting to know each other in there now, and they'll sort that out. Hang on, let me have a look. There will be the occasional argument in the first couple of days as they establish a pecking order, but if you keep a close eye on them, they should be absolutely fine. So yeah, that's the video then. Numbers we've spoken about quarantine. We just mentioned size and age. It's great if you can introduce them together at the same age, about the same size. Temperament does have a lot to do with it though. These Ixworths, they're pretty laid back. I've got some rescues, ex-battery hens, and there would be more issues with those. There is quite a strong hierarchy there, and the pecking order is pretty strong. And there are a couple of bullies in there because they've had to, in their previous life, they've had to fight to survive. So take into account temperament as well. So that's the thing to do, and hopefully you'll have success in integrating your flocks. We'll see you in the next video.